Ladies and gentlemen, Leader of the Opposition, colleague parliamentarians and members of the media, pleasant good morning to you all. We in the People's National Party are subscribed to the fundamental view that shelter is a right to our citizens. And as such, we believe that after a natural disaster such as Hurricane Melissa, that it is the duty of the government to restore to near normalcy as possible to every citizen that has been affected in terms of their homes. These are individuals who have labored and toiled to build their houses. Some have thrown their partners, some have done their round robin. And within 30 minutes, based on the hurricane, their investment were destroyed. It's not a fault of theirs, it's natural disaster. But any caring government is going to move with alacrity to ensure that these individuals get as much assistance as possible to build back their homes. And we have seen and heard talks and promises from the 29th of October, the day after the hurricane, about the extent of assistance and support for Jamaicans in the affected parishes with their homes. And very little has been done based on what my colleagues have articulated. A peep into some of the available data tells me that 113,000 individuals have been assessed thus far. Of that number, 42% suffered minor damage, registered or assessed with minor damage, 40% major damage, and 18% severe damage. That means their houses were totally destroyed. I want to look primarily at the latter figure of 18% because 18% of 113,000 amounts to approximately 20,000 households. My mathematical calculations, based on the policy articulated by government, says that those individuals would receive $500,000 because they would fall in the category of severe damages or total destruction. That is $10 billion. The government announced a program for $10 billion. So that means the 20,000 individuals who have suffered severe damage would have eaten up all of the funds allocated by the government. And then the others would have nothing to get. And so we have heard a whole lot of figures being bantered about by the government in terms of how much they have raised in the history of Jamaica. Over $1 trillion. But yet still, one of the areas that has been severely damaged, houses, $10 billion. And I want to call upon the government to make sure that the appropriate resources are allocated to deal with this crisis that we have on our hand. Because if we are talking about building back better and restoring to normalcy our people where shelter is concerned, $10 billion is not going to cut it. It might be a start, But we'd be fooling ourselves if those 113,000 individuals or the 20,000 with severe damages to their homes would be getting any assistance. And I want to touch on an area that from about November of last year, the government has signaled to the country that they will be providing some 5,000 container homes to individuals who have been affected in the hurricane. They have moved to tell us that those houses would be in the island by January. January came and gone. We heard in March that the houses would be here. It is now April. It is now April. My question to the Prime Minister and the Minister with responsibility for housing, where the house them there? Where the house them there? Poor people in Culloden need the houses. Poor people in Petersfield need the houses. Poor people in Jericho need houses. We can't allow our brothers and sisters that we talk about, say we care about them, to be living in the deplorable conditions that they are in post-Hurricane Melissa. And then we make promises to deliver 5,000 houses, and all know we can't see one of those houses being delivered to the people based on the commitment of the government of Jamaica. I'm not talking about what other institutions have done. I'm not talking about what the private sector has done. I'm talking about the specific program that the government has said that they are going to be obtaining 5,000 container homes to deliver to the people of Jamaica that have been affected by Hurricane Melissa. We need to know where the house them there. And finally, one of the major problems that we have seen during the hurricane is the issue of land tenure. And the government said that it would address it during the recovery effort, because a lot of the houses, especially in Westmoreland, were built on lands that were leased by the people, and so they couldn't build a permanent structure. And we know what happened with that and the hurricane. I want to know from the government, in this post-Hurricane Melissa recovery effort, what measures have been put in place to ensure that when a man gets the $500,000 check, they don't build back in the same situation that would contribute to them seeing their houses being destroyed? It is the duty of the government to ensure that the people get access to land to build back better than before. The leader of the opposition, my leader, had committed to ensure that we free up some of the lands and make the land available to those individuals who were living on government-owned land, to make sure that we create an access mechanism for those individuals by changing the requirement, the time frame in which individual could apply for those land in terms of tenureship. We want to know, where is the government on these issues? Because if it is that we don't take into consideration land tenure, we are not going to be building back better, and we are not going to be building back stronger. I say to the government of Jamaica, come forward, come clean, and tell the people of Jamaica the truth. Thank you very much.